Hello, everybody. Nice to see so many of you tonight. Still waiting for a few other people, but I think the majority of you are here, so we will get started in just a moment. Is everyone seeing? Never mind, I'm trying to screen share, but I probably should hit screen share first before I. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we get started? You can type them in the comments if you'd like, or. No, okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started then. Thank you so much for coming tonight. For those of you who don't know who I am and either received the information from someone or saw it online, I'm Dr. Elisa Peavy. I'm a family medicine physician, and I, in the last couple of years, have really kind of changed how I practice medicine. I've seen through my own history as well as just what I saw in the clinic, what we're doing in medicine. It's just not working for a variety of different reasons, a lot of different reasons. And so this is one of the things that I have done some research on. I'm fascinated by energy and frequency. I'm not sure who might be on, yeah, there you go. Anyways, I love this topic in medicine, and I truly feel that it is the future of medicine. I envision, going into the emergency department, and someone has had a trauma, whether it's an accident, a car accident, or maybe it's something, they had something horrific happen to them, that they needed to come in and be seen for. And instead of just having the physical, let's check their vitals, let's give them fluids, let's do all of those things, I really foresee that we're going to also be looking at their energetic makeup, because that is as much, if not more, informational for us in terms of what's going on with the body that we're now finding through science. So I'm going to kind of explain some of that here real quick. So first of all, what is frequency? Well, frequency is essentially just a measurable rate of electrical energy flow that is essentially constant, okay? Everything in the universe has a frequency, whether it's a rock or a plant, doesn't matter what it is, they all have their own individual unique frequency. Okay, here's kind of a picture of what that would look like. And of course, here's another picture of, probably what a lot of you saw in your physics class in high school or college. A higher frequency has a shorter wavelength, and a lower frequency has a longer wavelength, as you see here. So essentially we have over 120,000 different frequencies in our body that specifically make up our energetic makeup. Okay, so for example, blue eyes are different than brown eyes. Both of them have a different frequency that's associated with them that differentiates the both of them. Liver cells versus heart muscle cells, or skeletal cells versus smooth cells. Those are all going to have different frequencies. In addition to that, even our hormones, or like a thyroid level or estrogen, specifically has a frequency that we can pinpoint. So if we were to look at our genetic makeup, right, what we would see essentially is something like this, just like the matrix. We would be made up of a bunch of these numbers that would make up me or make up each one of you. So before we go any further, actually, what I would like to do, I need a volunteer because I want to do the demonstration. We can have it running in the background while I'm doing the rest of this. So is there someone who would like to volunteer to essentially let me, I would need a cell phone number, and then I would need demographics from you. So I would need a quick picture if you wanted to text that to me on my phone. Laura, you'll do that? Okay, awesome.
You know me, I'll always be a volunteer, but I am driving. Can you get a pulse on me while I'm driving?
Yes.
I'm a moving frequency at the moment.
Are you okay with giving me your height and weight?
Yes.
Okay. So let's.
I'm 5'4".
Hold on just one moment. And what's an email address, Laura, that I can use?
LANNELMORE@gmail.com.
Okay. And your weight?
165. And I'm like 5'4.5", somewhere in there.
Okay, I love it. Your date of birth?
4/26/75.
2675. Okay, is it possible to hold, I need a picture of you.
Oh, I'm about to come to a great spot.
Okay, so I'm going to.
Can you just screenshot me, or
yes.
how do I?
Yes, I sure
Should
can.
I just look at my camera?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to have you do. Try and get it as clear as possible. There we go.
Got me?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to give you a call. And essentially what I want you to do, everyone's gonna hear or kind of see the first part. So the first part of this is something called an inner voice. And what it does is you speak into the device. So she'll speak into her phone, or she'll just speak while she's driving. And based off certain inflections and tones in her voice, it tells us where we're at emotionally right now. So whether we're out of balance or whether we have some emotions that are out of balance that maybe we need some work on, okay? So I'm pretty certain I have your phone number in here.
I can give it to you. It's 541-647-8352.
8352?
Yep.
Okay. Are you ringing? Yes, can you hear me? Awesome. Okay. So what I'm going to have you do, Laura, is I'm going to just count you down. I'm going to say 4, 3, 2. Go ahead and speak for 10 seconds. Just tell me about your day. Just tell me what you did, okay? And 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a school teacher, so I spend my day with 8 and 9-year-olds, corralling them around the playground in the classroom. We did lots of math games today because we're in a math block.
That's good. You're good.
All right, there you go.
Okay, so you're just gonna listen. This is kind of what it sounds like. I don't know if anyone can hear that, but while that's going, I'm going to continue. So, okay, so we're back to the matrix. This is essentially us. We're a bunch of these numbers, right?
So can I hang up the phone on you?
No, don't hang up the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can, but I want you to hear it as well. So yeah, don't hang up the phone.
Got it.
Okay, so in medicine, we use some of these frequencies that I'm talking about. That's just it. When we go in for an EEG, you know, something's going on, we've had a seizure, and we need to figure out what the brain activity is. That is a frequency of the brain, right? We do it with an EKG. We do it when we check the heart. Okay, so I'm gonna, real quick. And this. Okay, so that's being sent to me. And then there's still some more that we're gonna do. Okay, so we see it with MRIs. In fact, there's something called a magnetoencephalograph that is like an MRI, but it's not touching us. It's basically picking up the waves as they're coming off of our body, okay? If we went to, there's something called the Heart Math Institute. I'm not sure how many of you may have heard of that, but they've been studying the frequencies of the heart for the past 20 or 30 years. And some of the scientific data that has come out of there is absolutely incredible. And so essentially they're studying the effects of emotions or the effects of when we feel fear versus when we feel joy and what that actually does to our heart. It's really amazing, but that actually changes our frequency. So when we look at what we're finding now in science, when we look at us individually as people, we have essentially this field of energy that is going on around us. I'm scanning you. That is going on around us. And it goes out about 5 to 8 feet from our bodies. And so all day long, essentially, that field, all those frequencies and everything else is coming in contact with everything in our environment, whether it's a good frequency or a bad frequency. Sorry, guys. Check out, there we go. So here's an example of what we call a constructive or a good frequency that is interacting with us. It's like tides in a pool of water. They actually augment and they will increase. Versus we have this wine glass here that depending on the frequency of a tone that is played, it's actually going to shatter it. It's going to be destructive. So it's not going to be beneficial. Okay, so examples of destructive frequencies in our environment are frequencies such as Agent Orange, glyphosate. Both of these are known carcinogenics, which means that they interfere with the repair pathway in our cells. And that's actually where cancer leads to. And these are just 2 of multiple carcinogens that we have. Other things that are destructive, you know, sugar, we hear about how bad sugar is. Well, it's just in massive amounts. It causes major inflammation and interferes with so many body functions because of its frequency. Low vibrational emotions like fear or sadness also interfere with frequency and can cause problems. Certain foods like canola oil, red food dye, even genetically modified foods can cause issues. And even certain medications, depending on who you are and what you, as your energetic imprint, interacts with, can have destructive frequencies from our medications, right? Some people have dry mouth, or they have shaking, or they have erectile dysfunction that's associated specifically with the medications they took, meaning that that frequency of that medication was interfering with some other process in the body. So this here, these two charts are probably two of my favorite charts. They're done by two completely different people. Bruce Tainio in 1992 developed a frequency machine that actually was able to find frequencies of anything. And then on the right-hand side, what we have is what's called a level of consciousness scale based off of our emotions. And based off of this scale, essentially, it's where if we're sitting in these emotions most of the time, if we're sitting in fear most of the time, sitting in guilt most of the time, then we're actually sitting in suffering, versus if we're sitting up in love and joy most of the time, right? We're more in the flow. Versus when we look at Bruce Tainio's frequency monitoring system, what he found is that there's a frequency that healthy humans resonate at, which is 62 to 72 hertz. We have a frequency that genius brain resonates at, which is about 80 to 82 hertz. And he found that all disease starts at 58 hertz or below. You're not going to find it above that. So what we're wanting to do essentially is find things in our life that are going to help to raise our frequency, right? You see rose oil up at the top, that's an essential oil. That has a frequency of 320. So that is incredible in terms of what that can actually do for our body. Yes, Laura, did you have a question, Laura?
Yeah, I was curious, like you say disease, and I'm wondering how that relates to like, like disease is different than like a traumatic injury, like, getting in a car accident or breaking car, something like that. I'm just wondering, like, if you're at a certain frequency and perhaps a low frequency, you might be more susceptible to disease, but I'm just wondering, can you be at a higher frequency? And then, of course, if you, like in a car accident, you're still going to get injured. Like, I'm assuming that changes your frequency. And I'm just wondering if there's any study about that on injury versus disease.
Yes, it's healing. I think it's the healing aspect of it. They heal faster and quicker, and are able to just have less of an adverse effect from that accident or injury itself. Okay, so examples of some constructive frequencies, high vibrational emotions like joy, peace, and happiness, as well as essential oils. You can see here, I've got this great picture that my friend showed at a party last week that, rose oil at 320, frankincense at 147. And if you remember on the prior, page, a healthy brain is at 80. So anytime, we're going to these oils, they can absolutely have an impact. We also talk about herbs like oregano and rosemary. Exercise, of course, within limits, right? If we overstress the body, that can cause an opposite effect, but overall exercise is incredible. And then of course, certain vibrations, tones, and frequencies. And this right here is where I feel, medicine is heading in terms of treatment and therapy and really just augmenting health in a way that we've never seen before. And this goes right in line with this device. I have one more scan. Actually, you know what this is? No, we're good on, you're all finished with your scans. I'm going to send that to you real quick. And then as soon as we finish, we'll take a look at it.
Should I hang up my phone?
Yes, you can actually. Yeah. Okay. So that's been sent. All right. So, you know, and other examples of destructive versus constructive, coffee, has been studied that it actually drops someone's frequency approximately 10 to 12 hertz drinking coffee. Now, I think that it varies depending on the type of coffee. Is it organic versus not, versus what do you have in it, right? But this is very interesting. A cigarette was found to drop someone's frequency down to the level of where cancer begins, which is at 42. So just having a cigarette is going to drop you during that time. Doesn't mean that you're staying at that frequency all the time, but during that time, you're dropping into lower levels of frequency, right? Peppermint oil has been shown to raise someone's frequency by 10 to 12. So the same person who drank coffee took the peppermint oil and suddenly that jumped up. Positive thoughts can increase frequency by about 10 hertz, which is pretty amazing. And also doing meditations and prayers can raise your frequency by about 15 hertz if, you know, done with proper intention and everything else. It's incredible. So that really brings us to this device. And you saw this is essentially what I do with people virtually, as far as what I did with Laura there. We get their demographics, like we talked about energetically. All of our demographics make us who we are, and then we have that picture of them. So what exactly does this device do? Well, it's based off the technology from Dr. Royal Rife, as well as Nikola Tesla. Dr. Royal Rife back in the 1940s was actually treating cancer with his technology. And amazingly, he had his everything stolen, all of his documents destroyed, and any remnants of his work at that time basically disappeared. So it kind of makes us question, I guess, the powers that be, why they would want to do that. But essentially, this is the same technology. It plays specific tones and frequencies that helps to open blockages, that removes energetic restrictions, and constructively helps the body to regain balance and harmony again. This inner voice piece that I talked about, I'm gonna pull it up here so that you guys can see it in just a little bit. It's probably the most incredible part of this device, and the entire device, all the rest of it's amazing also. But I have literally seen people's moods turn around without any other intervention after a couple of weeks of doing this a couple times a day. It just goes straight to where we're out of balance the most. And it's something that can be done if you have a device, or if you wanted, you know, someone to do it for you. It really can be done every single day. This device also, if we have specific symptoms, and I'll show you that. Well, it's kind of hard to show it on this little small device, but if you have abdominal pain, or if you have just nasal congestion, I can go in and I can say congestion, and I can play that frequency or tone that's going to help clear the congestion that the person is having. I can energetically imprint medications. I mean, this is a really, really cool technology. So it can do a couple of different things. One, I've had someone who had adverse reactions to her blood pressure medication, like over and over again. She just could not find a blood pressure medication, and her blood pressure just kept going up and up. And so what she was able to discover, and this was not me, I didn't do this, but she worked with her practitioner, and they started imprinting her medication. And she would play the frequency of that, and then she'd also imprint her water so that she was getting the energetic imprint, but she didn't have to have the side effects from the actual physical composition that was in the pill itself. I mean, and she swears by it, and that is the only thing she says has been the change, and it makes all the difference. In addition, you can take, like I've worked on people who've been in the ICU, and I was able to take the energetic imprint of, say, ivermectin, and send it to that person so that they could listen to it several times a day, even though they weren't getting that medication in the hospital. It made a huge difference. So the device can also do body and aura scans. It has like a morning, afternoon, evening. It checks your entire aura. You can put, oh, this is amazing. You can actually put your medications into and put the quantities of what you have, and what it does is it scans your body and tells you whether or not you even need your medication that day. So sometimes you may not need it, and this is going to tell you, because sometimes we can get too much, you know, thyroid medication. Sometimes we don't need that much, and that is a really tricky thing. So this can be very, very helpful for that. It also gives you daily affirmations, and of course you can imprint your water with it. So let's say you want to have abundance, or you're dealing with congestion, or you're having negative thoughts, or whatever it might be, you can actually run your water, increase the frequency of your water based off of whatever symptom or positive emotion you would like to put into your water. And I don't know how many of you guys know, but water itself really in our world is not what it should be. Our water should be more alive, it should be more active, it should be more vibrant, and it's essentially dead when it comes out of our tap. So just by taking that water, if that's all you have available, you know, and raising the frequency, you're doing your body so much good, you know, because we're 80% water. And it allows all messaging, it allows our bodies to detox. I mean, water it's everything. So it's pretty cool. So how do you get access to the AO scanner? Well, find a practitioner and have them do their sessions. You can buy your own iPad or handheld device. And this plus $149 a month gives you access to absolutely everything. You can buy your own iPad or handheld device plus that $149 a month. And then in addition to that, if you wanted to become a quantum living advocate, you would pay an additional fee of $49 just once for the yearly fee. Or you can use your own device and pay a monthly fee of $149 a month. The problem with that, my understanding, is that the phones don't usually, they're having a hard time really holding the technology, and the IT isn't there because it doesn't come with the IT support, so it's more difficult, but it's definitely doable. And if you are good with IT stuff and tech, then go for it. You can see prices down here in terms of the mobile device, the little handheld device, that's what I'm holding here. And then the AO scan tablet, as well as, or you could get the combination, which some people do. So I wanted to show this. This was really important because, of course, a lot of this has to do with cost, right? And how can we do this without the cost piece, or if the cost piece is difficult? By paying that $49 for the year and becoming a quantum living advocate, if you were to enroll only 6 people, you're not only going to make back and pay for all of your stuff, but you're gonna make even more beyond. So the company is really, they want the information or the technology out there because it's just so incredible to have something like this in your back pocket. You know, it's really incredible to have something like that that you can essentially use for yourself. You can use it for your family. You can use it for friends, your neighbor, you know, anything really if you wanted to. Or if you're a practitioner and you do all of this in your office, you can just use this device, of course, to augment. It's unlimited in terms of how many clients or people you can put in here and run and do their scans. So it's really just incredible technology. So thank you so much for joining for this part. I wanted to remind you that I will put I'll send an email with the link to having an AO scan done with me. Typically it's 111, but for coming tonight, it'll be $33 for any of you, or if you're a Quantal U or CHN member, Bodewell, etc., that it comes for free. So, okay, so I am going to stop share really quick and pull up that information. That's not where I want it to go. So the first one was called the inner voice. You guys can't see, you can't see. I need to share the screen again, right? Yeah, okay. There we go. Okay. So this is the inner voice piece. This is Laura's inner voice. And thank you again, Laura, for being willing to do this. So it goes through, it talks about inner voice, how it works. It goes more or explains more of the science behind it. So everybody, you know, will have access to that, of course. It tells you how to use it. These right here, this is her report itself. Essentially, all these are different tones right here. You can see, you know, C, D, E, F, F sharp is in there. And so it's picking the high frequencies and low frequencies that are out of balance for her. These right here, these sunglasses, essentially wearing certain colors has an emotional impact and imprint frequency, just like everything else. And so you can wear, depending on where you are emotionally, some of these glasses can be very helpful. And I actually had someone that I spoke with, Hina's wife, a few weeks ago. They bought one of these devices like 6 weeks ago, and they said that the glasses are incredible. Like, he can't stop wearing them. He's wearing them all day, and he notices a huge difference. So that's pretty cool. Okay.
I just did a light therapy with color therapy for 4 weeks, and it completely shifted my autonomic nervous system and how my vertigo was going. It was really cool. My eye doctor does it.
Yes, yes. So this picks like the top 4 emotions that are out of balance. And basically it goes through, you know, positive emotions that can help it. It talks about, you know, potential causes of it. Is it the thyroid? You know, if it's not just the emotion, is it because there's actually a hormone that's out of whack? Is it because, you know, the person's low on B5 or, you know, something like that? It also talks about suggestions and things that the person can do. Let's say their liver is not doing well, you know, it talks about, you know, maybe some pre-meal enzymes or other considerations if this is something that continues to come up over and over again, right? You know, all 4 of them are completely different. That you'll see the colors that you can wear. It talks about, you know, things that can help balance, inner balance, harmony, social interaction. You know, that's what the green's going to help do. So it gives you essentially just this huge toolbox of things that you can look into depending on what's going on. Okay, so that's that. All right.
Is this my particular scan that you're sharing?
Yes.
So was it showing that I had corona? Is that what it was picking up on down there?
No, it said possible causes.
Oh, okay, it was just suggesting that. I was like, I mean, I did have COVID. Yeah. I was just, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. It could actually tell me that.
Well, so yeah, there are some that corona is not on there, COVID, but there are several that pick up, which is cool. So this is what it does, the inner voice, in addition to giving you that information, it has music overlaid with specific tones to that emotion or set of emotions that's out of balance. And so each one is 3 minutes long. There's a total of 4. So it takes 12 minutes. And this, again, like I've mentioned, I really feel I've seen over and over again is so incredible. I mean, people have completely turned around emotions and anxiety, you know, low mood, just from doing this twice a day. And it's so relaxing. Like, it's really relaxing. I took it with me. I was out of town and had to take it because I had a couple of appointments that I was doing, and my husband uses it literally every single day. And I came home 4 days later and he was like, well, I've really noticed that. You know, I need it. I'm glad you're back, because I was really wanting it. So this is kind of what the music sounds like a little bit. They're all different, but they're just, you know, peaceful. And then here's this vitals report. Okay. So the first time I saw this in my demonstration, I could not believe it, because I'm a physician and I've worked in the ER, I've worked in the clinics. I mean, I order blood work all the time. I hear all the time how expensive they are. I mean, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars, right? And I'm looking at this thing, you know, this report on myself, and it's showing like everything, like you can see here at the top, this is cholesterol. And how it works is, so I scanned her initially, which is a series of clicks and beeps. It almost sounds like an MRI if people have had something like that. And then I calibrated, playing a bunch of high pitched, they were like squawks and squeaks. You heard that, right, Laura? Yeah, okay. So those were tones and frequencies that were used to help correct what was going on, okay? So when we see 9s and 1s, it's not anything to, you know, go, oh my gosh, what the heck's going on? It's not anything to freak out about. But those are areas that, you know, potentially, depending on what is happening, we would want to look closer at that if it keeps popping up every single time in the 9 or 1 area. That would be an area that you would certainly want to look. So for example, this is showing, you know, cholesterol, which actually HDL cholesterol is your good, healthy cholesterol. And I don't know if you've had a blood panel, but is your HDL usually high?
Yep. Yeah. I just had one just recently.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I get them about every 3 months right now.
Yeah. And is your LDL, was it pretty low?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, there you go. So LDL right here, 1. So, and what it does is it's just kind of helping to put the calibrations, help push to the middle, which is a 5, essentially. That's the goal. But, you know, it's like a pendulum. So we're always kind of swinging in and out. The 5 is the goal. 9s and 1s are on the outside of kind of the abnormal. Okay. So we can go.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
When it says previous and current, is that previous the scan or current? I'm just curious what that means.
Yes, that's a great question. So the beeps and clicks was the previous scan. And then as it calibrated, it scanned you again at the same time. So it's picking up what is happening after. So you'll see more of these reds moving into yellows and greens, you know, more blues, more towards the middle. It's showing, you know, all this cholesterol. It's showing albumin levels, liver, hormones. This is like a full CBC blood panel right here. You've got your platelets, your neutrophils, lymphocytes, you know, all of it essentially. And fatty acids. I mean, there's so much stuff on here. It's almost, I mean, it is and can be very overwhelming. But you can go through so many things and start to pinpoint essentially what is going on from a functional medicine standpoint, from an underlying standpoint, what is happening here, you know? It checks chakras. So here, Laura, your solar plexus was a little off, but you know, everything, you know, calibrated back to normal. Here's all your meridians. I had someone who came in a couple of weeks ago, they had just had acupuncture. And so they had talked about their meridians and it lined up essentially with what we had found. That was cool.
I would say that's true for me as well. I just recently had some acupuncture and those awesome. Are some of the ones we've been working on.
Yeah, awesome. Digestive function. We have like cytokine activity. That's an inflammatory reaction, right? We've got CRP, homocysteine levels. I've been able to use these and for example, my daughter, my 17-year-old, has been sick. I ran this on her and her CRP and homocysteine level was elevated, you know, so that's telling me that she has inflammation. And so I'm able to look at it from that perspective and, okay, what do we need to do here? Is this, you know, stress or diet or a combination of all of it, or, you know, what is it? So here's insulin stuff. So it's looking at, check A1C, C-peptide, you know, is there something going on with the, you know, person in terms of, do they have diabetes, or it can actually help be one of those monitoring systems to help with chronic diabetes. Amino acids, again, digestive ends, there's just so many. So this was pretty cool. All these vitamins, nutritional vitamins, I have a few times actually done regular scans on sick COVID patients. I would do daily scans for some of these people. And so I would see, you know, if something was popping up several times, like their B12 or their glutathione, I would see that they were low. And thankfully, at least a couple of the doctors were willing to talk with the family and say, okay, I can start B12, like that's not that big a deal, you know, or I can give them glutathione. And that seemed to make a huge difference. So it was able to even pick up on all of those. Looks at your emotional stability, your hydration, bone healing ability. I mean, osteoporosis, cranial nerves, you know, you can check all those. That was the other thing with my daughter, is that her vagus nerve was a 1. And she was throwing up and couldn't stop throwing up, you know, and so it totally popped up. It was really cool. Not cool that she was sick, but, you know, cool that this stuff pops up. So looks at ligaments, tendons, physical function, your endocrine glands, eye health, your ovaries, testes, you know, all these different things. All your hormones are in here. Thyroid hormones are in here. Your liver enzymes are in here. If you have, you know, if you're dealing with ovarian cysts, so that happens to pop up for a lot of people. So, and then let me show, here we go. Here's some allergies. So there's all these different trees, sagebrush, foods, corn, egg. I mean, it checks the top allergies to so many different things. Toxicities, you know, do you have toxicities going on? Is there something that is overloading your system, right? This is fungal, like candida and other forms of yeast and fungus. If you're drunk, it's going to pop up. You're not drunk, you're low, you're not drunk enough. Just kidding. So, I mean, it really, in a matter of minutes, this is just the vitals piece. Like, there's still a comprehensive, which looks at your arteries, your ligaments, your muscles. There's a body scan itself that I just really learned about the body scan a few weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. It has, it'll show if there's chronic stuff going on or if it's acute. And so you can go through there and say, oh my gosh, all these are chronic, they're pulling up. Well, that makes sense. Or, you know, let's look at this closer. I mean, it really, it's amazing. Any questions? I've been speaking and talking. I know I've kind of been flying through stuff. I don't want to keep anyone tonight, but any questions from anybody?
Dr. PV, did you see the question about how long to run the voice scan? Listen to the tone.
How long to listen to them?
To the inner voice tone.
Yeah, so they're each one is 3 minutes long, and there's 4 of them, so a total of 12 minutes. And so I usually recommend to people, if they're able to, do one in the morning and one in the evening, you know, so a total of 24 minutes that you're listening to that. But you can also do your own meditation with that, or, you know, anything else. And then sometimes if someone's feeling overwhelmed or ungrounded or anxious or something, sometimes they can do the inner voice then as well. You can really do it anytime throughout the day. The inner voice is one you can do every day, several times. The other ones you cannot, because too much, you know, can also be an overload of those frequencies.
But the inner voice can be run multiple times a day, depending on your need or your desire, yes. And you wouldn't confuse or overload the body with frequencies, yes. Or anything. It can interchange well then.
Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
Exactly. Someone asks about pets. Yes, you can use it with your pets. Absolutely. I haven't done it yet, but I've heard stories, and some cool stories. Marion, do you have any stories about that?
Yes, and especially because they integrate well with the ion bracelets, necklaces, patches. Mm-hmm. For example, an older arthritic, small house style dog, very beloved member of their family, and the dog was having trouble being able to jump up, have enough strength to jump up onto the couch and get up onto areas by the family. When they imprinted what the pet needed, they would run the scans. Initially, they took the ion bracelet and pet collar and put it directly on them after it charged in the full natural sunlight. And this is also through the Solex access through the AO scan system. That dog had more sustained energy and more strength to jump up, and could jump it up onto the couch. And then once they started adding, being able to, they have the dog be able to be just like their own little picture, and they run a scan on him, and it strengthens. And just like Laura was asking, what did it mean by previous and current, you know, the previous and the current? That's within the space of the same scan, because it shows you what it is when it first scans you, like you were saying, Dr. PV, and then it gives you the feedback after it's done the optimization. And so that's the same for the pets. And it's awesome. It's really cool.
It really is. Any other questions? I kind of looked through here, I think.
Oh, Dr. PV, also the one other thing, when you shared about the different devices, if a person is going to use a device that is different than the ones that are manufactured and created to the specifications for the AO scan mobile, it needs to be a smart device that usually needs to be 2 years or newer to just have the capacity and operating system, because there's so much, just like you showed by going through the just a peek at what is capable with this device. So that will be a good rule of thumb for those that may be looking at the different pathways to go. And they also, the support with Solex, their support means that they literally have people trained Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Mountain Standard Time, that if you run into a hiccup on anything, they work right with you and go through it, and your device is warranted for a year. Yeah,
so they were really, the device had just been, I think, probably bogged down. I was trying to run the comprehensive, and every time I would try to run it, it just would stop it, or the frequencies, the same frequency kept playing. And so I was on the phone with them twice the last couple of days, and I mean, they answer within a couple of minutes. There was no waiting, you know.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah, it was really awesome. And a live person, not a robot saying, okay, try to go here. You know, they actually got the same device I had, and they were going through it the same time that I was.
Oh, that's awesome. So they can step right through it with you. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I will, this is recording, of course. Laura, did you have another question?
I did. I was just curious about if this is something where, like, if you got a device, can you use it on all family members, or does every family member need a device of their own? You know, how does that work?
Yeah, no, just one device. I have this device. I have probably, I don't know, have added maybe 100 people to it. And I just go in each time and pull them up, and all their demographics and everything are in there. So no, you just need to buy the one. You can use it for all of them. You just have to put their information in each time, or not each time, but if it's a new person, you have to put the information in there at that time.
But the device will retain the client and their profile. So it will remember, and the more that they run, that Dr. Peavy and her family members, and like she was saying, Brian runs his every day, it will become more, it will get more and more of a tracking record on that client. It will become more interactive with that particular client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which was how I was able to work with people who were in the ICU, right? So there was twice that I couldn't actually talk to the person. They didn't have a phone, and it was just via the family. So I did it via their demographics, and of course intention. There's a lot that has to do with intention when you're doing energy work and everything else. And so and they felt like it made a huge difference, you know, their loved one is doing well. So yeah, it's very possible. You don't have to be on the phone listening their time. You know, when I work with people doing some of this stuff, if they want me to do it for them, a lot of times, like the vitals or the comprehensive, I don't need them for that. You know, the inner voice, I need to hear their voice in the moment, but I can run, you know, those in the morning without them having to be on the phone, and then I can send them the report as well. So.
The other thing to clarify, Dr. Peavy, is that the $149 for the subscription price is literally capable of handling every client and every person that you're running, so that you could be running your device for family members or within your practice, and it isn't based on the amount of usage. Right. $149 is the flat rate for the month for everyone. For Dr. Peavy as a practitioner, for me as a lay person, for everyone, it's this one device, one price.
Yes, yeah. So when you talk about it paying for itself, depending on what you want to do, or if you are a practitioner or someone who does work like that, I mean, it more above and beyond pays for itself, you know. So. Or it can, of course, with just sharing it, using it and sharing it. I wouldn't want someone to share something that they didn't feel was effective, but it's been so effective that sharing it is very easy. I will send, I'm going to send an email. I'm this recording as well. I'll post it and send you guys a link to that. Feel free to share it with anyone that you would like. If you have any questions, the email that I sent the Zoom invite to, please, you can respond back to that, or to the email that I send you after this presentation. But please let me know if you know, what questions you have. I'm here to support you, you know, any way, and excited to, you know, watch people get healthier.
Dr. Peavy, I just would like to thank you again for the quality of the in-depth information and how useful it is. This is light years away from what we began with, being able to inform people and get them understanding how to utilize it within their families and in their own lives. And I just am so impressed. This is, I've been traveling for several weeks, and to see what you and Brian are continuing to evolve in your graphics and the information, thank you. It's top notch, really well done.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Marion. All right, well, if anyone doesn't, unless there's other questions, I will let you get out and enjoy your Wednesday evening. But it was really wonderful to see you all. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.